anyways, let's get into it, Danya.
Okay, here
First
we
off,
go.
I don't know, it's a lot. It's a lot to unload, and honestly, I have a really hard time starting like these podcasts. This is only my second podcast talking about
Right,
like addiction and stuff, but the first one I had a hard time starting as well, and it was with like my best friend, and um,
right.
it's a hard thing to talk about, but it's just like it's important to talk about. So if I ever ask you something that's just like out of pocket or you don't feel like talking about it, just let me know. And if
Absolutely.
you stutter on your words or if you get choked up, it doesn't matter. Like let's just have a
Right.
good conversation, dude. Like literally we uh just for everyone watching, just to give some background, I think the last time that you and me had a conversation was when I was currently in a relationship with my now
hmm
ex, and you were kind of giving me some advice and just just talking some stuff through with me. And you're just one of those people who, we can go a really long time without talking, but the second I need anything from you, whether it's emotional advice or support, like you're there, and you're just that type of person, not just with me but with everybody. And like we need those people. We got to keep those people like around. So I want you to start off just by talking, just tell everybody how you know me, and just like our connection, and then we'll start talking a little bit about like your background.
Cool. Okay. First of all, love you.
Love you.
Second of all, you are also one of those people to me. And third, how do we know each other? Hugh and Seth.
You and
Let's be
Seth.
blatantly honest
You and
here.
Seth.
Hugh and Seth. That I met you at their house. No, yeah, at their house.
Actually, and I think the first time we met, dude, I have a hard time with this because I booked you at that one show at the fire. And
You
then
did,
there
but
was
that
the
was not the
music
first
video
time I met
before
you.
that. But then there was the music video thing I wanted you to come to before that, I had you come to before
Yeah,
that. Is that the
but
first
that's
time
not
we
the
met?
first time we met.
Fuck, dude. I don't was it must have been at Hugh and Seth's house. It
It
must
had to
have been.
be.
That's
Yeah.
kind of why I asked you, because I really don't remember.
Yeah, no, I couldn't tell you
It
what I
kind of
had
blends, and because like I
last.
already knew who you were before like I met you, like I already like knew about you from Hugh and Seth, and just because you're a
Right.
poppin' kid, everyone loves Danya around
Ew,
the
stop.
Philly area.
Stop. Cringy
So
moment number one.
yes, ma'am.
I'm kidding.
So let's start. Can you just tell me a little bit about like your experience with addiction? You don't have to start talking about your direct experience with it. How about like let's just start with like growing up. Did you grow up in like a household where like anybody was addicted, or like addicted to anything? Like was there addiction in your life growing up at all, whether it was directly in your life or just around you? Did you see it?
Yeah, I actually do have a family history of that. My
Mhm.
dad he didn't do well with drinking and he got into coke and was doing that for a while. Like when he was like a teenager, like that kind of phase, but
Yeah.
it was can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. But like it trailed into like my childhood with my sister and it like caused problems with my mom and him. But my mom has no history of that. She's not an addict at all in any way, and neither is my sister, which is the craziest part. So it's just me and my dad that got that. And
How
my
about your
cousin,
like grandparents?
yeah, my grandma was see, like my grandparents, my mom's side lived in Russia and my grandma passed away before I even was like old enough to remember her, and so I didn't really have much knowledge about them. My mom's dad was a smoker, had a literal hole in his throat because it was that
Okay.
bad.
And
And
this is okay. So this is your mom's side. How about your
mom's
dad?
side, my
Your
dad's
dad's
side,
side.
my grandma was just like a hot mess. So I
Okay.
guess she definitely had some kind of issue with substance abuse, but I didn't really like I was young when I knew her. And my grandpa didn't really know him that well. But my cousin was addicted to heroin and sadly passed away. So I've seen it.
Yeah.
That happened when I was like younger, when I was like 14. So I've seen it. And my sister had a little phase too. So I
Right.
saw that, but it's not
Right.
anything close to what I had.
Right. And
So
the reason I ask about just like family is because like I'm learning about all of this. We did talk like a little bit before we started like recording this, and one of the main reasons I started this podcast is because I want to learn about it, because I have it's just it's
Mhm.
starting for me. It's starting to hit too close to home. You know, I've had too many people
Right.
die from this shit. I have too many people that are going through it right now, and I want to learn about it, and I want to be informed. And I know that there's so many other people that want to be informed too. Now, the
Right.
reason I asked you about your family is because sometimes addiction can be a genetic thing, and it
Mhm.
can be something that's passed down. I'm adopted.
That's fair.
I don't even know, like, I didn't never did like the like ancestry or 23andMe, I think it's called. Like, I've never done any of that. I don't know anything
Right.
about my background, um with, when it comes to that type of thing. But I think it's something that's very important. It's really important to be to know where you come from, because like there's so
Mhm.
many things that you're already predisposed to, like, that you're not like, there's so many things that make Danya and that make John that aren't even in our control. It's just
Mhm.
it's from your mom and your dad and your grandma and your grandpa, and it just keeps going on and on and on and on. So that's
Right.
the reason I ask you about that, because like sometimes, addiction just is straight up passed down through the family. But then
Right.
sometimes it's, so do you think you were born with, like, do you think you just have, so like for me, I have a very addictive personality, and I know
Mhm.
that, and I'm very self-aware about that, which is like pretty much the prime reason I've never dabbled with anything harder than, weed and nicotine for me,
Right.
because I
Right.
just already know that. I know that if I tried coke, if I, you know, kept like, drinking as much as I was like back in like high school, it's like I knew I would have those addictions, because I could already kind of see it. I could already see that, whether it was
Right.
something that was passed down or whether it was something that I just kind of, I just, kind of saw. I didn't grow up around addiction, and I'm
Right.
grateful for that. But there's always things that you see when you're growing up, and things that really
Mhm.
blend your, like, mold your brain and change you. So
Mhm. Yeah. For me, I feel like I definitely have had the addict in me, in my DNA, and it was passed down, but I also feel like an addict, it has a lot to do with environmental factors as well. I didn't really necessarily grow up, like, I didn't even know about anything that my dad was doing or anything about my cousin until, like, I mean, I knew about my cousin, but I didn't know anything really. Like, I'm the youngest child, so everything, any family drama, anything like that, I had no idea until I was like old enough to know. So I only truly knew about this, like learned about this like maybe like 2 years ago, and
And is that
it
when
like
things kind of were already starting up for you? Like it did,
it
like,
started when I was like 13. Like I went when
okay,
I first started like experimenting with stuff, I was like 14. I started
okay,
smoking weed and then I started drinking, and then it was kind of just like that phase, like
yeah, and we'll
you're in
get
high
into that
school, you're
that whole
you're like doing
timeline.
shit.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. So I feel like I have it both ways. Like it was passed down, but also the way that I grew up and the people that I was around and the school I went to, like where I live, like that has a lot to do with it as well. So
Yeah, yeah. I think, okay, so you started, you were saying how environment is a big factor, and I agree with you. So
mhm.
we live in the Bucks County, Pennsylvania area, the suburbs. We live in a
Yes,
very
we
like
do.
very closed in area, and like, I don't know, growing up, having like, there, I don't know, we grew up around money, whether we had the money or there was just like around us, like there was like money
Right.
around us, there was neighborhoods, it was safe, it was like, and I always used to talk about this with some friends, like, especially like in high school, like when kids were
Mhm.
starting to dabble with different like substances and stuff, a lot of it, like you were saying how it's environment related, a lot of it, I think, for them, was out of pure boredom. There was
Right.
there was nothing going on around here, and I know that's like kind of like, it's not an
It's
excuse,
a privilege problem, but at the same time, it's a problem because that's what's
it's
like
still a
the
problem.
epidemic is like.
It's
Yeah, it's
still
a
a
problem.
problem. And, people sometimes will say, yeah, it's a privilege problem. And like, look, that's a real thing. There are things that are are terrible. But when it comes to drugs, that's something that like not just
For
drugs,
sure.
any type of addiction, that's something that we all share. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of different ways that can stem, whether
Yeah.
you're, first class, or whether you're at the bottom. It doesn't matter.
Right. No, well put. Well put.
So
Yeah.
like it's just like all the issues stem from like different places,
Yeah,
and it's just
exactly.
the whole concept of the whole idea of addiction can just show itself in a lot of different forms. So
Right.
let's talk about the timeline. So when did you start? What was the first drug that you were ever exposed to? Was it alcohol? Was it marijuana? Was it nicotine? Like the very first thing you remember doing?
Weed.
Weed.
Number one. I was
For
I
everything.
was
Okay.
it was yeah, it was going into um oh well if you're talking about like nicotine, like I had a cigarette when I was in
Yeah, I
like
guess nicotine doesn't really
eighth
count. Like,
grade. But no, I smoked no, I smoked weed before that too. Like I smoked going into eighth grade summer,
okay.
and my sister was outside smoking with her friend Tyler,
Mhm.
and they were just like, "Yo, like, do you want to?" And I was like, "Okay." And it took me literally like so long to actually get high my first time, but that besides the point. That was
Yeah.
the first time that I um tried any substance, and then eighth grade I started drinking and it all just went from
Went
there. What
went
can
from
I
there.
say?
Yeah. Okay. So would you say, and this is a conversation point that like this came up with Seth when we were talking about this in the first episode. Like we were talking about like weed and I don't really want to stay on it because it's like we already came to the consensus of like how most people feel about weed and like
Right.
it's not, it's not, most people don't see it as a gateway drug. So do you really think alcohol is kind of like what started like spiraling things for you, or not, maybe not spiraling things for you, but like when you started smoking weed versus when you started using alcohol, did you feel more of like did you start relying on one more than the other more instantaneously? Is that kind of how it came to be? Like, did you start smoking weed every day, or did you start drinking every day? Like, was there one that you felt like you needed? I don't know if that
I
makes
could
sense.
I could say that I started smoking weed like almost every day, not only because I thought it looked cool and that I
Right.
felt cool, but also like I liked the feeling of it. And it was also a social thing to do. Like it's like when we're growing up like
Right.
that, like you will literally do anything to fit in. So like it's not that I didn't want to, like obviously I want to do that. Like, I want to smoke weed and all that, but it's like a lot of it was, oh, do you want to come here and smoke? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
like, no, do I really want to smoke? Probably not. But like, do I want to go and hang out with my friends? Yeah. And are they all smoking? Yeah. So I'm
They're all
probably
doing
going
the
to do the
same
same
thing.
thing. Exactly. So I feel like alcohol definitely made things spiral after a long time. And weed can be like it's just like such a hard broad subject because like it's not black and white. Like there's a lot
It's
of things
not.
that go into both things. So I can say yeah, it's a gateway drug, but I can say it's not. I just think it depends on the human being, honestly.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like I was saying earlier, like I personally have a very addictive personality. So, like something like weed, something like nicotine. Well, no, let's talk weed because that doesn't have any like addictive, physically like addictive components to it. So like,
Mm-hmm.
I have an addictive, like because of my addictive personality, weed is something that could become dangerous to me, so like you were saying, it does depend on the person.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you break down like the science of it, like then it's different, but like you said, it is different for every person.
Right.
And okay, so getting
Yeah.
back to the timeline here, um
Right.
eighth grade, you said eighth grade you started drinking like a lot.
Started
Was it
drinking, like started that
every
whole
day?
phase, I
Okay,
guess you
so
could
when
say.
you started like drinking, like did it become like an everyday thing for you? Like it just like
No, not at all. Not at all. Like, especially in the early days, definitely not. It was just like a weekend thing. Like, it was literally just a partying thing.
right,
And that's what it was. But our idea of a party is like hanging out in someone's basement and getting
and
wasted.
getting fucked up, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I had that.
When do you think you started? What, When do you think there like was an issue for you? Like, did you like ever start like did you see an issue at like one certain time, or did other people see it first?
To me, like, I could see issues with, like, I could always see, like, with my old group of friends in high school, like, I could just tell left and right that, like, this person has a drinking problem, like, this person that does
Mm,
this person does that, whatever, but, like, we all just played it off, like, as our just embarrassing drunk moments, and that it's just like what happens when you drink, and like obviously that's true, but nobody
yeah.
really thinks it's an issue because like we're all in that little high school world where it's like
No
it
one
doesn't
thinks it's
matter
an
because we're all
issue.
going to be in college.
No one thinks
No,
it's an
not at
issue
all.
until shit
Yeah.
hits the fans, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that
and some people aren't lucky with it, so
and that's the thing. That's why this stuff needs to be talked about before it happens. Like because like you can't just start like talking about the death of somebody and saying like, oh, shit's got to change. Like no, because in reality, like shit should have changed a long time ago for everybody.
right.
And it's not one person's fault. It's
Yeah,
just
it all
like
stems from somewhere.
it all stems from somewhere. And I think that was I was in the same situation, same boat as you, I guess, like in high school, where like for me it's like I started seeing it and I started seeing the issues like with other people and with friends, but like you said, it gets excused as like, oh, we're in high school,
Right.
but and I want to do more research on this, just like when most addictions start, because I really wouldn't be surprised if like there was a good percentage that like started like during that time. I don't know if you know anything about that, but like
I think that is like a huge percentage of, because like think of, that's when we all start experimenting, even now like younger than that, which is like super scary, but
it's fucked, dude. There's kids
it's the
that are like
reality.
vaping in like sixth grade, like fifth grade now.
But it's more like for, yeah, I mean like especially with it happening like younger now, instead of trying to like be like drugs are bad, like don't do this, don't do that, like what I have always like my method that has worked for me and my therapist is like, okay, you want to do this, you want to do that, okay, that's fine, you want to do that, but what's the plan if it goes south? Like what do we do if it goes sideways? Like what's the goal, like what's the plan here? Because there always needs to be a plan to, like, if you're gonna, you know what I mean, like I can't explain
Yeah.
it, but
No, you just did explain it, and you have to have a backup plan, like especially like when you're struggling with any type of addiction. You always need to have a backup plan, because you might tell yourself a million
yeah,
times that like, oh, this is working out fine, like I'm doing good, but like then shit could hit the fans and you could be
right,
completely blindsided, and you need to know how to get out of that, and you need to know
yeah,
how you need to know the support system you can rely on. You need to know the source
yeah.
resources to use.
Exactly. And I've seen it. So like I've seen like denial like from other people, and like the whole world is watching you like deteriorate, and like you're just not getting it. You know what I mean? Like
So you started,
I don't know. It's just
yeah, it's a lot, because you
yeah.
see it all the time, you see it everywhere, it's happening, I mean, whether you like to admit it or not, it's like, even like, there's people in our everyday lives that go through this, whether it's our best friends, or whether it's people that we just see
Mhm.
on Instagram from like high school or whatever. It's like it's always gonna be there, and it's just like it's our goal to just like keep, not goal, it's our job to just like talk about it, and just like get more people to just continue to talk about it. But yeah, I know we keep getting
Right.
sidetracked, but I like it. It's good.
I know.
It's a good kind of sidetrack.
It's just
So
how it be. It's how it be in a
how big?
podcast.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you start? And I'm just gonna ask these questions like bluntly.
No,
So
please,
like,
please. That's what I need.
yeah. So like, when did you start like using like every day? So what you said, alcohol, just to get like things clear, like alcohol was your biggest issue when it comes to an
Yeah.
addiction. Like, would you say it was just alcohol? Like, have you ever struggled, or are you currently struggling with anything else?
No, like well, I have struggled in the past with other substances like pills and stuff like that,
Right.
preferably Xanax, but
Right.
yeah, I have struggled with that, and I would say like I can't really say that it all like started from like specifically alcohol or not. Like it's
Right.
just also like just life in general got me into it. Like being in a relationship for a long time, like I was with somebody since I was 15 years old. Like I
Which
didn't
is
know
another.
who
Keep going.
what.
No,
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 what were you
which is
gonna
another
say?
huge thing. Like, relationships are another.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'd love to say that like a lot of my drug problems haven't stemmed from my past relationship. Not in any fault of like against the other person, just
Right.
like breaking up or like this and that, like the anxiety of a relationship in general, like really did put me in overdrive. And then I like started to lose myself, and um then shit really hit the fan, and
And
that's when I had my experience. But
yeah. And
yeah.
here's what I'll say about like with like relationships, like you know, I've seen it, whether it's with myself or, you know, with like other people, like when you're going through just like in high school in general, we'll put it like high school into college years, it gets really difficult. Like relationships really put you through a spiral. And like you said, it's never, you know, sometimes it's at the fault of the other person, but a lot of the times
Mhm.
it's not. It's really just it's the environment around you. It's the changes. It's you growing up and you becoming like the person that you are
Exactly,
now.
exactly.
Um,
Especially when you're growing with like another person next to you. It's like
yeah,
it's just really hard to like
it can be difficult because
put people at fault because we're both growing up together and like nobody's
yeah.
perfect and we're just moving at different paces, and that's fine.
You're moving at
But
different paces, and but also I would say like you said, like the it's kind of an emotional roller coaster. I mean,
yeah,
last relationship I was in three different times, you know.
right.
You know, it was this back and forth emotional, just like I wouldn't even call it like pain necessarily, but it was just like interfering every time
Yeah,
we broke up. It was just this big interference in my life where I had to stop everything, collect myself so I didn't dig into this deep cycle,
right.
get my shit straight.
Just the agita.
Yep. So if you take that, the whole emotional cycle that you're going through, just in those years into up until now, because we're still young, you know, we're in our early 20s. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like we still go through this emotional cycle, and then to top that with addiction, it can literally it can be
It can kill
so
you. It can
tough.
genuinely kill you. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
it's hard.
dangerous. It's dangerous.
It's a dangerous game
Yeah.
that is played a lot. And yeah, you're right. Like relationships, especially when we are like that young, is super crazy and like super new.
Mhm.
Especially if you're in love with the person. Like that was my first love, and like it
Yeah.
lasted a very long time. And a lot of honestly, a lot of our relationship had alcohol in it. It was like
Oh
it
yeah.
involved alcohol. Like we only hung out and drank together. Like it was that
Yeah.
shit. And it's I think we had more of a problem than a lot of any other general couple would have,
Right.
but
Right.
that
Yeah.
definitely
And
was
it
a
pl- it
big
just
part of
it
my
it plays a big part, especially at that young of an age.
right.
So you might have already said this, but just to ask you again, so when did you
Mhm.
start like when did you start drinking alcohol on like a daily basis, or when did it start becoming an issue for you? Like what, like I guess like how old were you? Excuse my
To
phone.
me, when it was an issue was 11th grade. So I was probably like seven, like end of 11th grade. I was 17. I just turned 17.
Gotcha. Sorry, my
Yeah.
phone's ringing right now.
No, I was like, is that my fucking phone? Like, do I even have a phone like that? I
Yeah,
don't think
no,
so.
bro. It's like I don't even know why we have our house phones like
I
plugged
was
in
gonna
because
say
we don't answer
we
them.
left that shit in like 2006.
I
But
know. I don't fucking
go
know.
off.
It's just because I'm in my basement. Everything's like a little
No, I
downgraded.
know. I was kidding.
But you know the vibes. What was I just about to
Yeah,
ask?
you know
Okay,
the
so you started
vibes.
drinking like okay, like junior year. And then do you? So let's kind of flash forward to now. Do you? How long was it an issue for you? Like how long were you drink? How long was it like an everyday thing? Like was it when it became the worst of its problem for you? Was it an everyday thing, or was it like just explain to me how it was at the height of its? like severity?
At the height, well, here we go. This summer was my height, and it was obviously COVID. I think also had stuff to do with it. I just ended my relationship for good. That had a part to play, and it was summer, and it was warm out, and there was nothing to do besides, there was plenty to do, but for me, I felt like I had nothing to do besides get absolutely blasted with everybody I knew.
Right.
And
was it an everyday?
That doesn't tell you that I had a problem, then I don't know what will. Yeah. But what?
Was it an everyday thing for you? Like at that point then?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely every day.
It was like multiple times a day?
All day, every day. Like no stopping.
All day, every day?
All day, every day.
Okay. So what... Yeah. How long did that last? How long did the all day, every day stage last?
I'm going to say 2 weeks.
All right.
It lasted my binge was 2 weeks.
Okay. Yes. And then after that, what did things kind of look like for you? Did you, when at the height of your binge, what got you out of your binge? Let's start with that. What got you out of that binge period? Were you just physically sick?
What got me out of my binge was my family and my friends. They pretty much forced me to treatment. So I went. I kind of just like surrendered, and I kind of knew that day that I'm like playing a losing game, and that it wasn't going to end well for me. Right. And that my luck was running out with the situations and the shit that I put myself through. So I kind of just knew that, like, if I didn't go, I would probably end up dying. And, like, I really didn't want to do that. And I didn't want to, like, see everybody around me hurt like that. It was more of that. I was pretty much like, I'm going for you. But it ended up being, like, the thing that saved me. So I'm super grateful.
Well, it's all of this, like, addiction, I think also really intertwines with self-worth and self-love. Like you know, like when you're going through those binge periods, whether you're just smoking a lot of pot or you're drinking or you're on pills, whatever it is, like, and whether it's like,
you just don't give a fuck about yourself,
whether it's severe on the outside, you know, like, obviously you're doing those things for a reason. And it's because you don't give a shit about yourself, or right. You want to escape reality to some degree. So like for you, what did treatment look like for you? So after that 2-week binge, you went into treatment, and how long were you in treatment for?
I was in treatment for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, okay.
Yeah.
And what was it like? What's it like for alcohol? Because it's different for every substance, I'm assuming. Sometimes
right.
It's like detox. Like I don't know what it's like. I don't know.
Well,
the cycle.
Where I went, there's plenty of different places to go. Like where I went was a state-run place. Mm-hmm. My family like looked at it as it like it's somewhere like they had to kind of act quick because like they just like had to get me there, you know, and like had to like, you know what I mean? So it was like not really thought out, and they just sent me to the place that was available, and that took our insurance. So I went to Malvern in Chester County, like 45 minutes away, and did not fuck with the place. I have not been to rehab before, but did not fuck with the place. I love the people there. Like the people that I met there have taught me more than any that whole facility ever will. And there was plenty of good staff that like were there and like genuinely like cared about me, which is amazing and what is needed in addiction facilities. But there was also a lot of people that didn't give a fuck and are there just to make money.
Okay. So like explain to me like those types of people, because like I hear that a lot, like whether it's people that are going to like an outpatient program or like whatever it is, whether it's like rehab or like you know, just like any type of treatment. Like I'll hear from people that like there are people, and this is with any career obviously, but like there are people there that just are there to make fucking money. So how like I don't know how to ask this. I guess like for you, I just have a hard time framing shit in my brain.
No, you're good. Dude, take your time. Take your time.
How like for you, what was, I guess, Like what?
Try
Like
to say, and I'll try to
yeah,
understand your
yeah,
question.
yeah. Like explain to me like the type of
Yeah.
people. Just explain to me like the type of people that like weren't really there, like really like there for you, and that were like just there for like the money. Like what were
I
those, like
could
explain those bad experiences.
I could just say like just the aides, like the people that walk around, like make sure everything's going okay, like whatever they help out, like a lot of them were just like straight up bitches and
Right.
like I'm not an angel on this earth, but I know a bitch when I see a fucking bitch. So
Right.
they were bitches and there were just like grumpy, like dry alcoholics, like literally like alcoholics and addicts. Like they just look like they just hate everything and like hate life. And honestly, like, that's just not an environment that you want to put these people in because like we're walking into like a new start and we're seeing like just negative like
Negative
like
energy.
negative energy. It's just not it, especially when you're trying to recover. Like I've
Fuck
seen a
that.
lot of the people in there recovering, like it's really bad. And even my detox was pretty fucking bad. And it's like people are mad, people are this, people are hurting. So like you mix those two together and it's just like constant chaos.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks for me in that place was enough for me to see ever again. Ever again.
What was
ever again.
What was your detox like for you? I know it's different for everybody, and withdrawing for people is different, and different like physical symptoms and mental symptoms, but
Well, when I went in, I had every drug possible in my system. Like I'm not exaggerating. So I was in there and right away I just felt like it's usually a thing. I'm not trying to like bring like positive attention to it because it's not a good thing, but a lot of people go into rehab like very fucked up. And I went in there like that. So I was at first like out of it, and then they kind of just give you shit to fall asleep, and then you're sleeping for like 3 or 4 or 5 days straight, like pretty much a week straight. You don't remember anything there.
Right. Okay.
So I pretty much slept it off, only came out when I needed to pee and shit like that.
So that first week is really just like for alcohol, at least, and for you it was just it was just sleeping it off and just like getting it like out of your system pretty much.
Yeah, I mean there's shitty times that like I feel like my brain blocked out, but you definitely like when you're there they usually take care of you and like make sure that you're not in pain and shit like that. Like they'll believe you when you say you're in pain, so you're usually like I wasn't at least like sick.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
So all right, so after you got out of treatment, did you what's your relationship with alcohol now? Let's talk about that. Like is alcohol something that you because I don't know. I think it's different for everybody. Like is alcohol something that you need to stay away from, that you need to stay away from, that could be dangerous for you, or is it something that you think you can moderate? Because I've heard it and I've seen it firsthand. Like there's a lot of people with different substances that are like once they recover, they think they recover, they're like, okay, like I know I can moderate this. And with something as like, I guess like alcohol and weed are things that are more like lower grade, so you don't really see it as like, it's not like you like if you were to do it again, it's not like you're relapsing on heroin. It's not like that. So it's like at least in my eyes, I just look at it a little like differently, but I don't know if it should be looked at as differently, because at the end of the day, it was something that really hurt you and really started an addiction for you. So is it like, what's your relationship like with alcohol now, and how do you see it, and what do you do to make sure you don't go down that like path again for yourself?
So like it's been about like 6 months since I've been out, so I feel like now I have a little bit of room to breathe and like figure out like how, like what kind of relationship do I want with like substances in general and like alcohol and shit like that. Like obviously that I smoke weed, and that I smoke nicotine obviously, but I do that this was to go to bed. but now it's like I come home from work and I'm hitting it, and that's okay. And then alcohol, I'm currently fixing my relationship with
Mhm.
by trying to do it in moderation. And when I first got out of treatment, like literally a month after I got out of treatment, I tried to go back to drinking in moderation, and
Right.
obviously that just didn't work, and it led to other things. So I made a plan with my therapist. Before that, I was like, okay, I want to start drinking again. She's like, probably not a good idea, but hey, like, I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. So let's make
Right.
a plan for when it goes south.
Right.
And at the time, I was already an outpatient after treatment.
Can you tell
So
me what that plan looked like?
it looked like literally a list of like, okay, no drinking Four Locos, no drinking liquor. You can only have a Truly or two in an hour. Like, you can't sleep at a stranger's house. You can't wander off from your friends. Like, you can't touch blow. Like, you can't touch other
Yeah.
drugs. Like, all this shit. So if I broke like a couple of those rules, then I would have to tell her and be like, listen, I'm like kind of falling off the wagon a little bit. So that's what happened. And honestly, I did stay away from it for like a couple months. Like, I had a few I had a hiccup here or there,
Right.
but I I knew that for a while, like, it wasn't in my best interest to be drinking, so I laid off, and it really like put me through a lot because I have like like I'm in college, so I'm like I want to go out and I want to be with my friends, and like it was really hard to see everybody going out and like drinking and like
Right.
being like, why the fuck can't I do that?
Right.
So, but laying off really taught me a lot, and like it helped me to be where I am right now with
Mhm.
alcohol by only keeping it to like the weekends, like only a day out of the weekend is what I'm doing
Mhm.
right now.
Okay.
And when I just even feel like a little bit that I'm getting off track, I will like cancel my plans for the next weekend, or I just won't make plans and just stay
Yeah.
home and chill. Like,
And
you know.
and I think, like I said, I haven't gone through this addiction, so I'm not the one to speak on it. That's why I have people like you who have gone through this shit and who are going
Mhm.
through this shit to come on and talk to me about it. But
Right.
one thing I will say is it always does scare me with people that are overcoming any type of addiction. Because we were talking about this earlier in the pod, or earlier before we started recording as well. Like, everybody has an addiction. It's just a matter of if they're going to face it or not. And it also depends on the severity of it.
Right.
Okay. So like sometimes like
Right. Right.
somebody might have an addiction to fucking candy, but it might not be that bad and it might not be ruining their life. So you don't have to worry about it. That's how I see it. But like,
Mhm.
when it comes to like alcohol, like there are plenty of alcoholics out there who don't see themselves as alcoholics. There's
Right.
plenty of drug addicts out there that don't see themselves as drug addicts, like, so for me, um I always get worried that like people like you are the ones that have come that first off have recognized the issue for yourself, which like is the biggest thing. Like you've recognized it, and like my biggest worry is that like of just like anybody falling off, because it's like I think it takes so much for you to like just see the issue in general, because I feel like there's so many people like that, even just that I know, that like the issue's like blatantly there, but they won't do enough to recognize it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
And
so
also, before you say anything else, like, I've
yeah,
also had people in my life that have been like, "Oh, you didn't even need to go to rehab. Like, you're not even bad. Like, like, oh, at least you didn't do that. Like, blah 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 blah." So it's like shit like that as well that makes you minimize your issue. But go
hmm.
ahead.
And well, yeah, no, that's exactly what I was getting at. I get worried about the issue getting like, yeah, like minimized. Exactly. Because like alcohol is something that you look at as like, it's not that crazy. It's not like heroin, it's not like coke.
But it
But
is
it
something
also,
very bad.
but it actually is. It's just the
Yeah.
legal form of it. Like
Right.
that's literally how I see that stuff. And obviously it all does different things to you. But it's
Right.
like it can be as equally dangerous, is what I'm trying to get at. Like,
I definitely think it is. Like, literally think about it, the withdrawals that you can die from are only
mhm,
from benzos and alcohol. Yeah, nothing else, not even heroin. Like, so
yeah.
that shit's crazy.
So what And I want you to like talk about this just because, and I asked this to Seth too, when I was talking to him. What's something that
Mhm.
like, what are things that you're doing for yourself now? You talked about the list of things that you have, just to like kind of keep your shit straight and keep yourself in check, which I think is great. But what are other things that you do
Thanks.
just to like make sure that like you're gonna just be the happiest that you can possibly be and just be the healthiest you can possibly be as well? Like, what are things you're doing?
Well, I honestly, right now, working a full-time job is helping me discipline myself, which is
Yeah.
something that I never learned to do till now. So that's cool. I
Isn't it
was
funny? They
doing
say school
school.
is gonna do that shit. They say school is gonna do that shit, like high school, but it doesn't. And then you like start
No,
working, you're like,
not
oh,
at
it's
all.
just a number.
Even college right now. Like when I was doing school before it ended right now, like I was in
Uh,
hell. Like from all the shit that I have to do from like just I don't know.
yeah,
But that also school, keeping up with that shit, like just being productive in any way.
busy.
Going to the gym. The gym's literally just open today. I went after work because I'm
Hell
like, I
yeah.
can't not go and like be comfortable with not going because I genuinely enjoy working out and doing this and
Yeah.
like working on myself. And I think being confident all has a lot to do with on the outside and a lot on the inside, but like I want to look good. So like my
Hell yeah.
outside has a lot to do with my inner self-worth
Yeah.
and like how I feel about myself. So I do that and I maintain that because it makes me happy. So I'm doing that. And also reading.
Hell yeah.
A bitch does not read, but my sister got me this book for Christmas called
Yeah.
Attached, and it like talks about relationships, like just in general, like not even with like romantic relationships.
Yeah.
That I'm almost done it, and I just started it like 5 days ago.
I'll have to
It's
steal it
insane.
from you.
You can literally borrow it because it's an amazing
Hell
book. You
yeah.
need to read it.
Hell
So
yeah.
I'm doing that, and then my sister got me a manifesting journal for Christmas.
It's
I'm
awesome.
into manifesting. I think it's like energy, the universe is a thing,
Oh
and
yeah.
whatever we put
Chakras.
out, we get back. Chakras, all that. So I'm
Yeah.
doing that, saying affirmations to myself every day. I was actually just talking with my friends about this weekend, like telling them the affirmations that I say to myself in the mirror every day
Yo,
because,
fucking
like,
tell me 'em.
even
This
if you
this
don't
is
believe it,
important. This shit's important. Yeah, affirmations. I'm so big into affirmations. Like I don't care. Like if it's look. First off, just explain what an affirmation is. Like for people that don't know what it is,
it's basically just saying something over and over
saying it
until
out
it
loud,
becomes
right?
reality. Saying it out loud. Yeah, saying it
Or
out
writing
loud
it.
to yourself, like in the mirror, like face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
something like that. That even like what I was like gonna say is even if I don't believe what I'm saying in the mirror, like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
One day I will
Exactly.
believe it. If I'm saying it over and over to myself every day, how the fuck am I not gonna believe it?
Exactly, because and
So
people are very quick to judge that because we can go and like be very critical of ourselves and like judge the shit out of ourselves and believe all of the toxic things we say, but we don't believe any of the
right,
good things we say. And it's like if it's so easy to believe all the bad things, why can't we believe any of the good things? Especially like that's why affirmations are important because it's like it is a lot harder to believe the good things about ourselves than it is to believe the bad things. So by
right.
like reinforcing that and like by saying like, whatever it is, like for like I used to say affirmations like just like regarding like just like my self-image, like when I was like really overweight, I was just like super uncomfortable with it, and I was like just saying like just still like how it sounds cringy, but just saying like I still look good and I can make these changes, like just
Mm-hmm.
like little things like that, like because you don't want to shit on yourself,
Absolutely.
but you want to address the issue. So like
Right.
I address the like for me it's a mixture of like it's the Oreo. Like my mom would always like explain it like this. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like the Oreo. It's like so you have like the cookie, and it's like that is the you say one good thing about yourself, right? And then there's the cream. The cream is the issue, but then you like end it with the bottom of the cookie by saying another good thing, and that's so like you state the issue,
Right.
you address the or I'm sorry, you say the good in you, then you address the issue, and then you say more good in you, and like that's how you're gonna like actually like progress. That's how you're actually going to make the changes you want to make, because you're not shitting on yourself completely, but you're still
You're being
understanding that
real with yourself.
you're being
Yeah.
real, you're being straight up. Exactly. um
Right.
Hell
And
yeah,
I
dude.
also look at it like I say, like, you can say a million bad things about yourself. Like, you can't look at yourself in the mirror and say one nice damn thing about yourself. Like, come on.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
exactly.
I'm gonna say good things to myself because
You're with yourself more than you're with anybody else.
yeah, and you deserve to say that to yourself, and yeah.
And it all comes down to just the relationship you have with yourself. So it's like, I just got out of this like long relationship for me, at least. So like
Mm-hmm.
like for me, I realized, like, after I got out of it for the third time, it's like I needed to like start working on my own shit, and like I actually had to start giving a shit about myself. And like that's where it's like, all, like I said, all this stuff ties in with addiction, because like you have to start like loving yourself and who you are as a person, and just like understanding like what you want to be, like you said, like going to the gym to work out because you want to make the changes and you want to look better for yourself, like you
Mm-hmm.
want to look a certain way. Like that shit's important, because it's like you're with yourself 24/7. You deserve to
Right.
look how you want to look, be how you want to be, do the things that you want to do, because you're with yourself all the fucking time. Like do whatever you want
Right.
to do, man.
Right.
So
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, and also it's like obviously like loving yourself is like a work in progress always, and like I'm
Always.
far from feeling like the most confident that I feel, but that's okay because
Yeah.
like nobody is ever, you know what I mean, like no one's really there, especially at our age. Nobody's there yet,
And you're not
but it's
supposed
just
to be
taking
there.
those active steps like little by little. Like I tell Seth, I'm like, yo, like start manifesting in that journal that I got you, you know, like Hugh, like start using that journal, you know what I mean, like just
Yeah.
start doing little things like that, because like it really does help. Like even if it's all bullshit and it doesn't
Yeah.
work, it can't hurt, you know.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, even if you're just writing down your goals, dude, I fucking show you. Hold on. I did this shit this morning, bro. Like,
Yeah, bro, I write it every night.
literally, bro, like just writing a
Yeah.
list of goals for myself. Like,
Yeah.
teach 25 students consistently, teach 2 group
Right.
lessons a week, record 1 song a week, record 1 acoustic song a week,
Yeah,
start
push
investing in
yourself,
stocks.
exactly.
Like, literally, like, start working out more, eating better, drink more water, like just like
Right.
little things like that too. Like there's like, I don't know. It's important to like know what you need and what you want out of life. Like
Right.
you can't go through
Because
life
not
just doing
only
what
does
other people
that
want.
like oh yeah, absolutely. And it also will help you in like your relationship, like your love life also, like, and just relationships in general, like the people around you, your friends, how they respect you, if they don't respect you, like that has a lot to do with your self-worth. And like a learning process, especially for me right now, is that like it's okay to cut people out that like aren't really helping you grow in like the way that you want to grow and like
Oh
love
yeah.
yourself, you know what I mean? Like it's
Oh
really
yeah.
no hard feelings. It's just like you're just not on my level right now. Like, and that's fine. It's just like it's setting boundaries, and if those boundaries aren't respected and met, then bye, and that's
Exactly.
okay. Like it's okay, I'm just gonna leave.
Exactly. And like that's, I came to that like more recently, like the past like couple years, I guess, just like getting the people that like I know like aren't actually bringing value to my life, that don't really want to be there. They're just there for like maybe what I have, or
Or for addiction, just
whatever.
being somebody to get fucked up with.
Exactly. And I had a friend that used to tell me this all the time, like your real friends are not the people that you're getting fucked up with all the time. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying like, bro, I get fucked up with my friends all the time and they're still my real friends, but like,
Right.
like there has to be a line. You can't just hang
You
out with
know
these
who
people
those
because you're
types of
getting
people
fucked up with.
are.
Those people
Yeah.
don't give a fuck about you. And if it came down to it, like they would pick money for their whatever substance they're feeding into over you any day if they had the opportunity.
Right.
And people don't get that. And that's
Right.
why you
No,
need to
people
make
don't
that.
get that. But it's hard to get it too, because like you want to believe so badly that they do really want the best for you. Like that's like for at least me, because like
Yeah.
it's very hard for me to let something go and like let people go, you know? Like I just have like that attachment to people and like the memories and shit, but like
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, you have to look at the bigger picture, and like you have to be that person. Like if you, for me, like if I want to find somebody that like deserves to have me, like I need to treat myself like that person. So
Exactly.
I don't think my future boyfriend want me to hang out with people that like
Are treating you like
that don't
garbage.
respect me. I don't. Yeah, exactly that. And That's just it.
I like
That's
how
just
you
it.
I like how you said that, like, because your future
Thank you.
boyfriend would absolutely fucking hate that. And like that's the thing, people don't realize the grand scheme, like the bigger picture of things, dude. Like,
Right.
like that's why I think in the past, like I know I keep like saying this, but like in the past like year for me has been so big in just terms of like learning, because like I just understood that like it doesn't really matter, like the things that like used to like knock me down personally. For me, it used to be like breakups. Like breakups were the worst thing
Mm-hmm.
for me, even if I didn't even care about the person. Just for whatever reason, that attachment, just like it was just like something that I
Exactly.
really admired, and like there was just like I just find a lot of beauty in relationships, and I love being in relationships. And like
Mm-hmm.
until I realized that like part of the reason I loved being in relationships was because I needed that like I guess like it was a mixture of like approval, and just the fact that I just love loving, which is not a bad thing at all. But that part where it's like I need approval, it's like that's where it's like kind of a little dicey. And you need to realize, my point was, you need to realize the things that you're getting caught up in. Fuck, I just completely lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
It's totally okay. I'll
Like,
finish it off for you. I'll
yeah,
finish it off for you.
please do. I'm sorry.
Like, I understand what you're saying. Wait, what the fuck were you saying?
No, I know, bro. I don't even know. Look, I just want to say that we decided to do this very last minute, this podcast. I didn't come up with a single question, and I'm really fucking proud of us, because there was many a times during this podcast where I just kind of stopped talking and tried to gather my thoughts because I didn't have it written down in front of me, which is just like how I conduct my normal conversations. I'm a really awkward person.
Authentic way. I think that's the most authentic way you can do it.
I'm
to
just
be
a
honest.
really awkward person, and I just like take a really long time to gather my thoughts. But
that's okay.
It doesn't matter. And if we need to, I can just have my boy Scotty edit this bitch and just cut out all the awkward parts. But I think I'm too lazy to make him do that.
Scotty.
Honestly, I'm too lazy to make him do that. So Scotty, when you're watching this, don't cut a single thing. Keep all the awkward moments
Scotty,
in.
take my
Let's
awkward
rock it.
moments out. Take my moments out.
This is the Black Hearted Culture Show, and we're gonna wrap up here. Danya, thank you for coming on. I fucking love you. You're my favorite.
I love you, Bill.
I just realized
Thanks for having me.
that we were talking for over an hour, and Zoom's gonna cut me off soon because I haven't bought Zoom Premium yet. So,
oh my god,
I
really,
love you. Goodbye.
I love you. Thank you for having me. Goodbye.